Hello all and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you again for the recent support on yesterday's video where I talked a little bit about 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗥 as well as the future of Hedera in the markets as it currently stands. Tons of news to cover again today as the crypto markets are still looking incredibly bullish and we are starting to reap the rewards from our averaging into those positions. So if we look at the daily charts over on Crypto Bubbles, obviously I covered Rune in a very recent video. Since then, it's already just done a pump today of 13%. So if any of you picked up some of that, you'd probably be sitting nice and pretty, 35% roughly on the week. It's still a project that I'm fairly bullish on. It's not something else. The project itself is not something that anything else is really replicating. As I mentioned in that video, make sure you check it out if you want to learn a bit more about it. But Rune effectively facilitates instant transfers natively without having to use wrapped tokens, which is fantastic. Cake is doing quite well recently as well, up nearly 27% on the week. Obviously, I think a lot of that news is going to be driven by Binance adopting PancakeSwap natively within the platform to facilitate DEX functions. So really bullish over on the Binance Smart Chain, which is really good to see. XLM, we can see is up nearly 1% on the day, 14.6% on the week, doing fantastically. I'm going to be continuing to buy XLM as it currently stands. It's still massively, massively undervalued. Probably one of the most undervalued coins that I talk about on this channel. HBAR, we can see, has just had a bit of a retrace. It's pulled back slightly, 1.3% on the day, 12% still up on the week. I'm still averaging into this position massively. We are nowhere near the pump that I expect we will see happen. In fact, I will probably keep averaging into this position until we say hit the 30-40 cent mark, where I may just lay off a little bit on the purchases just to see where it runs to and then think about my strategy there. However, my pags are not full enough yet for me to sit back and relax on this one. Hedera is going to have a wild ride throughout 2022 and I am so excited to see all of the DEXs and stuff come through into the network. It's going to be amazing. That being said as well, another coin that I've spoken about recently on this channel has pulled back a little bit, which is Engine Coin. So down 3.1% on the day, still up 20% on the week. And as we can see in the general market trend, majority of these coins are pulling back ever so slightly, but this is healthy. This is what we want to see. We might see a 5 to 10% pullback potentially over the next couple of days for the market to kind of reset itself. Obviously, Bitcoin is still absolutely surging ahead, which is fantastic to see. And Ethereum is performing very well, which is also good news for all coins in general. Another coin that I've forgot to mention is obviously Quant. As I said before, we were buying sort of the sub $100 mark. We're now already somehow nearly at $150 per Quant, 20% on the week, 30% on the month, and even 250% on the yearly position now. I will again just continue to average into Quant. It does something similar to how HBAR does to the layer ones. It's an interoperability solution which is unrivaled or unparalleled as it currently stands. Talking about that, if you look on Twitter, there's a lot of alt season buzz still happening. We can see Ethereum has made successful breakouts last week and closed above the moving averages. Very bullish in general for Ethereum. This is now a similar situation as the spring of 2017 when the major alt season happened. Now, even though the markets have pumped and gone green, we are still not anywhere near an altcoin season as it currently stands. The Bitcoin dominance chart is still sat around 42%. We really need the Bitcoin dominance to fall dramatically to say below 40%, 35% mark to really call it sort of an altcoin season. So it's something to still keep an eye on. There is still positions to be made within the altcoin space. When these projects do break out, they will go absolutely wild. It will be like nothing you've ever seen before. However, be prepared. The flip side of the altcoin seasons is also pretty bearish in general. I'm hoping we don't see as much of a crash as we've seen in previous years. I was around in these markets during the 2017 crash. Ironically, majorly invested in XRP at the time, or Ripple, and the meteoric rise was followed by obviously a very long bear market. So make sure you have a game plan. It's seriously important. Yesterday, HBAR to the Moon and STADER hosted a Twitter space, so I'd like to say thank you to those guys for doing that. I did actually ask some questions for some of you guys that were on that, probably heard me speak a few times. Some great questions by the community in general. Just some updates for you guys. They're still working towards the timeline of the first week of April, and the unstaking features will still be around June or July. I asked the question if they were talking to other DEXs, and they said they are looking to start speaking to other DEXs, so we may see HBARX get incorporated into DEXs like SaucerSwap and potentially Tangent, which is in partnership with 𝗟𝗜𝗚𝗚𝗏, which would be very bullish, because that would then enable you to not require an unstake feature so early, as if you wanted to effectively exit your position, you could sell your HBARX via a DEX for another token, and then the new HBARX holder effectively owns the right to claim the originally staked HBAR once unstaking becomes available. Please also bear in mind, for some of you who had asked the question in my comments, I tried to answer, but I'll say it verbally as well. The current funding rounds for the HBAR staking is currently being funded by the grant STADER has received from the HBAR Foundation. So that means the early staking rewards we do see are funded by a grant, as I mentioned. Going forward into the future, it will become a traditional staking model once the permissionless nodes come online. That is when we'll start seeing the traditional notion of staking, where rewards are distributed to staked holders as a means of the transaction fees, which have been rounded up on the network and then redispersed throughout the staking pools. I'm still incredibly bullish on STADER. I'm probably going to stake a massive proportion of my HBAR over on the platform. That being said as well, I will be reserving some for these DEXs that do go live. For example, as I've said before, I'm immensely bullish on SaucerSwap. They are doing great things, and it's going to be a real landmark arrival for them when they appear on Hedera and sort of kickstart the ecosystem growth that we're all looking for. Talking about the crypto markets in general, Dubai has just released a new crypto law, which is now attracting Bybit and Crypto.com to set up local offices. So cryptocurrency exchanges Bybit announced on Monday that it's shifting its headquarters from Singapore to Dubai on the same day that the Crypto.com said it would establish a regional hub office there. The announcement comes as Dubai has rolled out new legislation that's aimed at making the Emirate a global center for crypto assets and related industries like the metaverse. So there's probably going to be some forms of tax advantages, as well as a benefit for these businesses being headquartered or set up there as regional satellite offices, is that they know that the legislation is probably going to be quite lenient as per what Dubai has effectively said. So this again is very bullish for the crypto markets in general, and just continues driving this narrative forward that mass adoption is coming, whether people are ready for it or not. Obviously, I hope that all of you guys are ready for it, as that's kind of the point of this channel. Bitcoin price news. So Bitcoin has just hit the 2022 record, as crypto market has now passed $2 trillion again. So obviously Bitcoin is still leading the charge. It took a surge overnight to $48,000 on Tuesday for the first time since early January, building on a price rally that has seen it rise more than $10,000 over the last 2 weeks. The latest gains were mirrored among other leading cryptocurrencies, including Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, pushing the overall crypto market to $2 trillion. And this is the narrative that I've been telling you guys. We will see the top two poster children effectively of the crypto space pump first, number one being Bitcoin, shortly followed by Ethereum. The then top, say, 8 other projects in terms of market cap will receive some of that capital that flows out of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then you get a massive trickle down effect to the lower market cap blue chip altcoins. This may not be a degenerate all run that we've seen before, for example, last year on the Binance Smart Chain. However, the blue chip altcoins will definitely pump, and that's what we've been seeing. Obviously, there's been a general uptrend anyway. Like I said, we've seen HBAR and Quant and all these other really, really solidly grounded projects beginning to break out of those sort of channels they were trading within, which is great to see. Again, some more news in terms of mass adoption. So Deutsche Bank released a statement saying that NFTs could go mainstream with Instagram's planned support. So again, in a previous video, if you guys have been sort of following the channel, I talked about how Instagram had plans to support NFTs. Massively fits their social media style over on that platform. Obviously Instagram natively being images and video content anyway, and obviously those are things that could be tokenized via NFTs very easily, and you'd get a mass amount of users being able to interact with it directly because it's a massive social media platform. Again, incredibly bullish. Not only that, obviously we have the parent company Meta of Instagram, which was obviously formerly Facebook, renaming themselves to Meta because they are in this narrative. They will be pushing their social media platforms towards this metaverse direction, again, whether people like it or not, or are ready for it or not. So make sure you're ready effectively. The move by the tech giant can legitimize NFTs, which is effectively what I've just said. Grayscale CEO as well has said there are over 800,000 accounts waiting for GBTC to be converted into a spot ETF. So again, we're still waiting for that Bitcoin spot ETF. Once that goes live, that's when the institutional money is going to flow in. The market cap's going to go absolutely bonkers. As we said before, if you think about the market cap of the entire crypto space in general, at $2 trillion, it's smaller than Apple as a company, and this is an entire market we're talking about. So we are still incredibly early on this journey. Great tweet here from Parabolic HBAR talking about Dovu. So probably nothing, but the UCL, so university, shouted out Dovu official at the Global Sustainability Conference last week. And then who sponsored Hedera, Visa, Avery Dennison, BP America, Google, IBM, Accenture, Deloitte, etc. Obviously, I've been calling and talking about Dovu for quite a while. I bought a decent amount of tokens recently, or not, when I released it on the channel back on the Binance Smart Chain. I think I'm already up sort of over 50% on that position. I've done very well on that. If you guys were sort of doing your own research at the same sort of time, you've probably done very well off of that. That is only the beginning for Dovu, in my opinion. If you look at its market cap, it's still incredibly small. It is one of the best hidden gems not only within the HBAR ecosystem, but within the sort of hidden gem ecosystem in general. It is such a blue chip project. It's just unbelievable how undervalued it currently is, and obviously clearly from the price appreciation it's beginning to gain exposure, and I think that will just continue. I'm just waiting for a slight pullback. Obviously there's been a little one recently. When I next average into my HBAR position, I will pick up some more Dovu probably sometime during this week. I can seriously see that thing exploding, and that actually being a potential 100x project on our hands. Talking about Hedera, just looking at a bit more detail, as I said, we've had a little bit of a pullback from the all-time high, not the all-time high, but the daily high we hit not too long ago, so sort of averaging out around 20p, which is probably around 25 cents or so. This is still incredibly undervalued. As I said, I'm going to continue buying into this position up until the 30 to 40 cent mark, as I believe that is complete fair value, or fairly undervalued for the position. I see at the end of this cycle it probably hitting somewhere near $1, if not north of $1. I think that's completely inevitable at this point. Again, none of this is obviously financial advice, completely my own opinion of a rambling dude on the internet. However, that is what I will be doing, and that is what I'm going to stick to. Same thing goes for Dovu as well. So if we take a quick look at Dovu, so we're back up 10%. We've already come out of that wedge we fell down into. 10% on the daily again, trading at roughly 3 cents. So what's that, 3p, so roughly 3 or 4 cents at the moment, which is fantastic to see. This is just going to continue running up. Obviously, it looks like we had an all-time high back in 2021 when it launched at around 8p, which is probably 11 or 12 cents. So there's a long way to go back to its all-time high. As the Hedera ecosystem continues to gain exposure, Dovu will benefit from this anyway going forward. So it's something that I'm just going to continue to pick up along the way. Anyway, guys, I hope you kind of enjoyed this video, a little bit shorter than normal. I guess the key takeaway of today's video is I am still continuing to average into these positions. This market is not over yet. We are still yet to see some explosive gains from some of these projects. These blue chip projects are going to go nuts that we're all sort of invested in or holding tokens from. The Hedera ecosystem is coming. It is very, very rapidly approaching, and we're almost at the finish line, so to speak, for that launch. There will be so much content that I'll put out as soon as everything goes live, how to interact with everything on the system, and obviously what I'm doing with my general strategy as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Nearly at 1.1k subs, so make sure you guys are subscribed. Also, please follow me on Twitter if you use Twitter. Even if you don't use Twitter, set up a Twitter account. I reshare lots of the information that I come across before I put it into these videos anyway, so it kind of gives you guys a heads up of what's happening in real time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.